I kept telling myself it was just in my head. Some trick of my imagination. But deep down I knew it wasn't. My husband, Matthew, had always been a man of composure. Calm, steady, never quick to show what he was feeling. Lately though, he was different. His silences seemed heavier, his eyes sharper, as if he were looking for something he already suspected. The tension had been building between us for days, creeping into the quiet spaces we once shared, and that evening, an evening that should have been ordinary, it all finally came crashing down. The night began like any other. Plates clattered, the smell of dinner filled the room, but underneath the routine was a current I couldn't ignore. Matthew sat across from me, movements rigid, posture unnaturally stiff. He barely touched his meal. I wasn't much better. Something unspoken lay between us, pressing down harder with every passing second. Ethan, our son, was the only light in the room. He chattered on about school, his laughter slicing through the tension for fleeting moments before fading back into the heavy silence. Then Matthew said my name. Just that, Evelyn. Nothing more. But the way he spoke it froze me. His tone was steady, yet under it lurked something unfamiliar, foreboding. We need to talk. My stomach turned. There was no softness, no room for casual conversation. This was not a request, it was a command. My throat tightened, but I forced myself to answer. Sure. My voice trembled in spite of me. Matthew leaned back, arms folded, his gaze flicking toward Ethan for only a moment before locking back on me. Hard and unyielding. I've been thinking, he began slowly, about us. About our family. A fragile smile tugged at my lips, though it felt false, brittle. Is something wrong? I asked, though the answer terrified me. Instead of replying, he reached into the drawer beside him. His movements deliberate, almost agonizingly slow. When his hand returned, it held a manila envelope. He set it on the table between us without a word. Dread coiled around my spine. What is this? I whispered. Open it. My fingers shook as I slid the papers out. They felt impossibly heavy. When I saw what they were, my breath caught. Paternity test results. My vision blurred with tears, but I didn't need to read further. The truth was already written across Matthew's face. Ethan isn't my son, is he? His voice was steady but cold, unlike anything I had ever heard from him. It was the voice of a man who already knew the answer but still hoped, desperately, to be wrong. I opened my mouth, but no words came. The pounding of my heart drowned everything else. Answer me, Evelyn, he demanded, sharper now. I deserve the truth. Tears spilled down my face. Matthew, it's not what you think, I whispered, barely audible. He gave a bitter laugh, sharp and humorless. Not what I think. Then explain this. He gestured to the papers trembling in my hands. I stared down at them, willing the words to change, but they stayed the same, unyielding, damning. It was a mistake, I choked out. A mistake? His voice hardened, disbelief burning in his eyes. You let me believe Ethan was my son for 6 years. 6 years, Evelyn. I loved him, raised him, gave him everything I had. And now you call that a mistake? I didn't mean for it to happen. I pleaded, desperation cracking my voice. I thought it wouldn't matter. I told myself it wouldn't matter. His control began to fracture, his fists curling tight. But it does, Evelyn. It matters more than you'll ever understand. Before I could respond, a small voice broke the storm. Mommy? Daddy? What's wrong? Ethan stood in the doorway, eyes wide, concern etched across his little face. Matthew's expression softened, but only briefly. He turned to him gently. Nothing, buddy. Go to your room for a bit. Mommy and I need to talk. Ethan hesitated, glancing between us, sensing far more than we wanted him to. But finally he nodded and slipped away, his footsteps fading down the hall. The silence he left behind felt suffocating. Matthew's voice was low when he spoke again, but raw with hurt. I've suspected for a while. The late nights. The calls you couldn't explain. The trips that never added up. But I wanted to trust you. So I pushed those doubts away. Please, Matthew, I whispered, reaching for him. He stepped back, his tone sharp. No. You had 6 years to tell me the truth. 6 years. Instead, you lied to me every single day. He reached for something else on the table and held up another paper. And then there's this. A bank statement. His voice was ice. Our accounts, I've frozen them. You won't spend another penny of my money. My chest tightened. You can't. I already did. His gaze was unyielding. And as for the man you were seeing, Jake, isn't it? His lips twisted into a cruel smile. He's done. I sent everything to his employer. The affair, the test results, every detail. He won't have a job anytime soon. I gasped. Matthew, no, please don't do this. He shook his head, his face carved with fury and pain. You did this, Evelyn. Not me. You made your choice. Now you face the consequences. The scrape of his chair against the floor was harsh, final. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, but it cut deeper than anything before. I'll be filing for divorce tomorrow. I'll always love Ethan, he's innocent in this. But you're on your own. And with that he left. The door slammed shut, echoing through the house, leaving only emptiness in its wake. I sat frozen, staring at the space he'd just vacated, struggling to grasp the ruin I had brought upon myself. Then came the softest footsteps, hesitant and small. Mommy. Ethan's voice wavered. Is everything okay? I wiped my tears quickly, forcing a smile that felt hollow. Everything's fine, sweetheart. Don't worry. I pulled him close, holding him tightly, but inside the truth crashed over me like a tidal wave. I had betrayed the man who loved me. I had destroyed the fragile trust that bound us together. Worst of all, I had wounded the innocent child in my arms. The life I had taken for granted was gone, and in its place, only a vast emptiness remained.